episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, huh? They made how many of those movies?
They made 2.
And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. I am Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Tyler Hymanson.
And...
Elizabeth Helly.
And we are back and starting a brand new franchise for you guys.
The sequel to our first franchise.
Yes, we ourselves have become a sequel.
This is going to be our Empire Strikes Back.
That's right. But enough with the...
we should have picked a different franchise.
Enough with the preamble here. I'm sure you probably already saw, since you probably can read the episode title, but we are looking at the Problem Child franchise. Which, there are 3 films.
Which, shocking to me.
Well, yeah. So this is from the 1990s. 1990 is
yes.
the first one. If you want to watch along...
I am a 90s child.
Oh, God.
As we discussed.
Bring that back.
Yeah.
We're all 90s.
It's a podcast
Bring
about
it back.
Yeah, about the 90s.
But yes, if you want to watch along with us, they are all currently on HBO, available for streaming.
The Hobogo and the Hobogo Now.
Perhaps you have them on VHS or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch along if you'd like.
Watch along and then listen along to the podcast.
Well, listen either way.
Well, yeah, totally. It's more fun if you watch the movie.
Threaten the listeners.
Listen either way.
So, Problem Child. I believe I saw this movie in theaters.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have any of you guys? What's everyone's history with the movie? You
saw
it in theaters.
I believe I saw it in theaters. Yes.
I saw it last night
Uh-huh.
for the first time ever.
You never saw it?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure that I saw it on TV. Maybe more than once, but there are a couple things I definitely remembered being stuck in my head was that the girls' birthday party scene. And then I also had stuck in my head a scene of them drinking Pepto-Bismol, which is apparently not in this movie.
That might be in the
maybe
second
not
movie.
in this franchise. But I for sure thought they were going to drink Pepto-Bismol. And
That's a weird thing to entice.
I kept waiting for that.
I can't wait till they drink that.
No,
Bismuth
I think it's
pink
because
goo.
I was so horrified by that it was like burned into my memory.
You didn't drink Pepto-Bismol as a kid?
Well,
me
like
that.
when I was ill, but not for like
in your memory.
pleasure.
Okay, well, I don't want to get into this Pepto-Bismol thing. That's a different thing. That's not. That's
It
not
must
this
be
pod-
another
that's not
series.
this podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see where
That might be for Here Be Monsters.
I have
If
no
you guys
idea.
know what she's talking about, email us at sequelrights@gmail.com.
Unpack my psyche.
You know what? I
We
take
want to
this
hear
back.
your Pepto-Bismol
If
story.
it was 1990, there's no way I saw this in theaters. This is
Yeah, you were
this is
four. That's what
I was
this
gonna
is this
say.
is absolutely a blockbuster rental.
I was
It
like
could
in
have been
kindergarten. I was
Blockbuster,
like in
yeah.
kindergarten or something.
It was absolutely a blockbuster.
And it's rated PG,
That's right.
and so I don't think
It was probably
appropriate.
right next to the Page Master somewhere, and
Well,
I watched it at some point.
Pagemaster.
Oh yeah.
I
Too bad there's only one of those. Can't watch it.
If you eat at Pizza Hut, you got like Pagemaster things. That's what I remember. Anyways.
Anyway,
Well, yeah. So why don't we just get right into it and talk about Problem Child?
Kids, they're the hope of the future.
You two really must have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, these little rascals really make life worth living.
But Ben and Flo have a problem.
Are you absolutely sure there's no hope? Oh, none whatsoever. Florence, why can't we adopt?
Okay, let's get a kid.
Okay, you want a little baby. Well, old babies are little. There's no problem there. Just this morning, I came upon a 7-year-old. Smart as a tack. A little rambunctious. But weren't we all at that age?
Oh, he does look very presentable in that little bow tie.
He's evil.
All right. So having seen the movie, it does seem like this child was a problem.
die.
Go die in a fire. That's my review, you guys. Have a good night.
God.
So I feel like
Did you like this movie?
the 90s were a different time.
They really were.
I remember enjoying this movie as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
John Ritter, always delightful.
Yes.
Always delightful.
I love John Ritter. He's the best.
The movie is almost successful in making a complete dick, but we can get into that later.
Yeah.
I found it a weird experience. I felt like it was the quintessential. Well, first of all, I found it the quintessential experience of like going back to a movie that maybe you liked as a kid that you shouldn't have gone back to.
Right.
This might be a thing that we get into, so I don't want to get too far into it. But like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or things that you really loved, or that you had a fondness for, and then you're like, oh, like this is. Yeah. This is different than I recall.
I was thinking the same thing, actually. I was like, I didn't see this till just now, but if I would have seen it as a kid, I probably would have been like, this is my favorite movie. Because it's basically just like a kid being a total dick to like everyone around him the entire movie.
Yes. I'm probably the opposite. I feel like I hated it when I was little, and now I was like, oh, it was okay. Like, there were things that I liked about it, but when I was little, I was like, probably a complete goody two-shoes, and so I was like, that movie's horrible. Like, no child would act like that. You know, like, we're great. Kids deserve rights.
No kids wear bow ties. That's so unbelievable.
Do you think that Party Boy Chris Pontius got his look from Problem Child? Because there's some points in this movie where he is shirtless, just wearing a bow tie.
Potentially. I actually thought this movie was pretty funny. I don't know.
It is.
There's some funny parts.
Just because of the sheer like manic ridiculousness going on for most of the movie. And just like, I don't know, there's some really hilarious lines, even if there were some that were super insensitive.
There's some things that are mean about this movie.
Yeah.
Like this, and when you look at the kind of talent involved and people there, like, it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah. The director, who's the director is
David or Dennis?
I think it's David
Dugan?
David Dugan.
I thought it was Dennis.
Is it? I'm gonna look it up.
It's double D.
Anyways, he's an Adam Sandler, frequent Adam Sandler director.
He is, I believe it's possible that he might have been nominated for the most Golden Raspberries as a director.
Oh, snap!
For his Jack and Jill, and but he did direct Happy Gilmore, and like, so this is the kind of blueprint for. I mean, and Big Daddy and a lot of these.
Did he do Big Daddy?
Yes,
because that one has
did
heart.
Do Big
okay,
Daddy, yeah.
All right.
And you're right. It was Dennis Dugan.
Yeah.
David Dugan, totally different guy.
What's David Dugan?
What about me being right?
Oh, I didn't hear you.
God. Okay.
You're on the entire other side of the table. How am I supposed to hear?
Jeez, whatever. All right.
So it's kind of this weird blueprint of like getting you ready for that type of humor, which is pretty much the only way that this sets up a franchise, because it is such a singular story. Unlike American Tail, where we're talking about how, you know, it's a retelling of fables of a new land, like that makes sense. Like you could franchise this. This is such a singular story. It's silly. And like the fact that there's two other ones are just, I mean, I guess we'll see. But at the moment, they just feel like implicit cash grabs.
Oh yeah,
I was really struck by like, how is this a feature film? I mean, I guess it was the 90s, but nowadays you would never have a feature film that was like so over the top like this. Like even the whole PG comedy has sort of died out. There are still some, but not very many. Yeah. And I mean, there are probably others that preceded this, but I think this kind of sets up a lot of these movies with a, you know, kind of precocious kid who's messing with adults, and there are many more before and after, but this now, like the beats of it and the tone almost reminded me more of like a Disney Channel original movie or something. Not the inappropriateness, but like just kind of like the silliness and the over the top. Like this would not really be a feature.
Well, I mean, there was a whole genre of that, and maybe it's something that has been taken over by TV shows and Netflix. But it's like, you get your Rookie of the Years, you get your, you know, there's lots of kids misbehaving movies. You get your Blank Checks.
Yeah.
You know, you get those. It was a whole run of those type of movies.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah, those are like, that's the only equivalent
one, right?
I can think now.
Yeah.
And there's legitimately funny people in those movies. Like,
right,
I think that's probably the exact analog of
yeah,
would be.
except that's more like the kid is the one getting messed with instead of the kids messing with everybody. But yeah. I just don't like there. I don't think there are as many PG comedies now as there were in the 90s.
Yeah,
at least.
it's like it's like you take Dennis the Menace and turn him into like a potential serial killer.
Which Dennis the Menace with Walter Matthau came out after this movie.
I think so, right?
Yes,
probably.
I know because that's when I first saw Jurassic Park. We were supposed to see Dennis the Menace, but it was sold out.
But Dennis.
and I was very scared.
So wait, you saw Jurassic Park instead?
Instead, because Jurassic Park had been out for
That's the right choice.
This is like a much longer story, but like Jurassic Park had been out for like months at that point,
Right.
And then I was like, oh yeah, you can go see this, and my brother's like, yeah, Jurassic Park, and I'm like, that movie's PG-13. I'm 5.
I'm scared.
I was not allowed to watch Jurassic Park in theaters, so.
And then it was horrifying. Then I was like, oh my god, movies are incredible.
Okay, well,
we're getting sidetracked from the problem child at hand.
It's all right. What did you guys think of the titular problem child?
One of my first notes is like, goddamn, I have to watch him act for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I immediately was like, man, his voice is
real annoying.
Yeah,
and it almost has this really bad. There's this narration element to this movie, which I bet gets completely dropped going forward.
I hope so.
But it's almost like a Blade Runner recut where it's like, we need him to say like funny things over these scenes that maybe rang a little bit too serious.
Well, I like that the narration would be like, these long, complex sentences, and then all of his anytime he was speaking on camera, it was just like a one-liner, like, "Well, you shouldn't have touched that thing."
Yeah, I think Dugan was not. I would say that his work with child actors improved by the time he did Big Daddy.
Well, this was his first film, I think, right?
Well, and that was 2 kids too.
Big Daddy.
Yeah, it was the Sprouses.
Yeah,
Zach and Cody.
Right.
Anyways. Cricket.
I was like, there's lots of kids in this movie.
No. It was twins. It was twins.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Kids.
Famously, Zach and Cody. Okay, anyways. In the beginning, I mean, I felt kind of bad for the kid because when he was a baby and it shows him getting dropped off in the Moses basket at various houses because nobody wants it.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
It's so sad though, but
it's funny, and there's a great sight gag of him getting too big for the
basket.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that was my favorite
But the
part.
things he was doing there that was getting him thrown out was really like not too much of a fault of his.
Hold
I
on.
mean,
yeah, what?
He drives a tractor through a trailer home.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
as a laugh. And he feeds detergent to a cat.
Animal cruelty.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he knew what he was doing, but when the baby pees...
The narration makes it very clear
He
that
says,
knows what he's doing.
"Oh, you look like you're hungry." Detergent in the water.
Yes, but when you're that little, I mean, do you even...
Yeah, but you're a problem child.
Yeah, I guess so. But like when
he's clearly a problem child, guys.
My first note is pee jokes and animal cruelty. We are literally in minute 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like peeing in a lady's face, like haven't all little boys done that at some point?
I mean,
were they?
Probably.
I'm sure, but there's not a narrator saying I was conscious of doing this.
yeah, that's right. I think he's narrating during that.
He did not narrate the pee.
Yes, he did.
I think
he's
did.
narrating from the beginning, and they take him to, and like
he's like open wide or something like that.
Well,
I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's a.
Oh yeah, he narrates from the very beginning. He's like, "Here's my mom dropping me off."
Yeah, not a bad night, huh? And it's like a super rainy night, and then they drop him off at a mansion, and then progressively the place he gets kicked out of is worse.
Yeah.
And he ends up in a trailer park, and then drives a tractor trailer through that trailer,
which finally lands him in the orphanage,
right,
where we establish that he's a rabble rouser and annoying the nuns, and
you might say he's a problem child.
And so
you're done. It's the last time.
I'm sorry. I can't help it.
I still thought that he was somewhat endearing, even to that point. The moment that he lost me was when Gilbert Gottfried comes and is like a social worker, and the nuns are trying to say to Gilbert Gottfried, take him away, and then the kid just starts like railing on Gilbert Gottfried, being like, "You're a dick," and imitating him, and it was just so weird. It seemed to shift.
I mean, the time
quickly.
before that happens, he goes, "I wonder if penguins can fly."
Yeah,
and then he throws a nun out the
window. You were fine with him taking photos of the nuns while they're in the shower.
No.
Well, you just said he was endearing, so he's taking.
I still thought because the whole cafeteria.
Some kid's so adorable.
He posted them online. I still felt bad for him. It was because the whole cafeteria scene, he didn't really do anything wrong in that scene. He's just kind of this food's gross, and it flew onto the ceiling, which wasn't really his fault.
Basically Paul Rudd from Wet Hot American Summer in that scene.
So yeah, when he went off on Gilbert Gottfried, it just seemed like such a tonal. It just seemed out of place. Like,
well, it's a weird thing of Gilbert Godfrey running the adoption agency, telling the nuns what to do.
Yeah, and
I thought that was funny.
And I also felt like
it is funny.
I felt like the kid was really badly directed in that particular scene too. Like, it was just like.
I like when he's like, he wants to be a boy nun.
Yeah, he wants to be. That's basically a nun in the suit.
He wants to be a boy nun. That's a terrible impersonation, but
now, Elis, do your Gilbert Gottfried. We both did it.
I don't need to do Gilbert Gottfried. If we ever watch Aladdin, then I'll do Gilbert Gottfried. Okay, so then this brings in John Ritter and his wife, who want to.
Which
Little Ben.
Oh God, yeah, the doctors.
No, there's a hilarious prop comedy scene in a gynecologist's office. No, it's horrifying.
I thought it was hilarious, actually.
But it's like this clumsy doctor with the clumsy doctor with a like 3 times model 3 times. I don't know how scale works. Of like fallopian tubes and he's being super
of all
clumsy.
the lady stuff.
Of all the lady
whatever
stuff,
that's called.
yeah. Vagina parts.
Yeah.
My last name's Hymanson. I know these things. And
terrible.
Fair enough. And he does this thing. Basically, John Ritter's wife is infertile.
Positively infertile.
Positively infertile.
No, negative is a good answer.
Sorry.
Positive is
Oh
great.
God, it was excruciating. I mean, this guy. It was. So, I was like, they would have been better off with like Dr. Spaceman from 30 Rock. Like this guy was worse.
That's what they were going for.
It was so awful.
Yeah,
like, okay,
that's
so
why he was funny.
I used to watch a lot of Bravo reality shows, so I've seen actual IVF like appointments thousands of times on these shows.
Right.
And so seeing this was like horrifying because he basically told her like, you have no ovaries and your fallopian tubes are brown and shriveled.
He's like, yeah. You have this. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to describe the whole scene. It was fine.
It was great.
It's also
It was not funny. It was horrible.
It's also highly insensitive, but
I mean,
again, the
but
90s were a
it was
different time.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
like you could not even have that scene now, even trying to play it for laughs. It is like so insensitive. Like it was bad. But
I was like, there's probably a similar type scene in Knocked Up or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's suggested that they adopt, and you start to realize that this wife is a horrible person, and so she doesn't wear used clothes, so she won't get a used kid. And
She does say, I don't wear secondhand clothes, and I won't have a secondhand.
Oh yeah,
kid,
secondhand. But so it becomes clear that the wife really only wanted a child for status. And
she's jealous that
wants to
she's
go to
not being
parties.
invited to other kids' birthday parties.
Yeah.
At the fancy mansions in the house.
Well, it's because literally everyone else in the movie either has a kid or is about to have a kid. And also this movie is like super anti-adoption.
It is.
Every character is like, ew, gross, you're adopted?
Yeah.
Ew, you're going to adopt a kid? That's gross.
It's a really cynical movie, and which gets into like John Ritter's character, and when you get into like the writing team on this movie, like wrote some serious things. Like they were the creators of one of them was a creator of American Crime Story.
I think they're both on it, yeah.
And
because they're like a writing team.
They're a writing team, and some movies that People versus Larry Flint, like that have a political bent.
Yeah.
And so it makes a little more sense why this movie feels a little mean-spirited. It is funny. But at times like, ooh, like this is like kind of cynical and mean for a kid's movie, although it being funny, but getting into kind of the secret funny behind this movie is John Ritter works at his dad's sporting goods store, which is basically like if Jack Palance owned like an all-American sporting goods store, but it's called Big Ben's.
Yeah.
And everybody calls John Ritter Little Ben.
Little Ben, yeah.
But like just like the ignorance that is implicit of Big Ben's all-American sporting goods is really funny.
Yeah.
There's even like a replica of Big Ben outside
no,
the
yeah,
store.
it's really funny.
Yeah, it's...
And then so they get in the store, and basically what you find out is that Ritter's father, who's also in Dirty Work, and I'm forgetting his name.
Warren?
Jack Warden? Jack Warden?
Warden?
He's the one who has the biggest credit in the opening, right?
I think
There's
so.
one credit that takes up like an entire
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. And I like how he's from Dirty Work, like he's been in everything. But he's basically, he owns a sporting goods store and he's running for mayor. And there's this whole subplot of him, like that John Ritter is too nice to get a promotion and to inherit his lands.
That's right.
And he's like, well, I wanted you to be more cutthroat. And so it's this whole setup of where like everything in this movie is everyone's capitalist and gross. And John Ritter's like, I just want to be a nice guy and adopt a kid and have a boy and be a dad. And everything kind of is set up against him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sweet and endearing, and because like he's like the everyman that you enjoy.
That's
yeah,
right.
I think in the beginning, though, John Ritter did kind of have some selfish reasons for wanting to adopt a kid. He just kind of was like, I want to, like, go camping and have the experiences that I see everyone else having. But then he realizes that it's not about him, it's about the kid. And
Right.
well,
And it wasn't entirely selfish. It was
No.
like because they
like,
couldn't have a kid
in the
regularly.
store. There's a kid who like comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, Mister, do you work here?" And he's like, "I sure do." He's like, "Do you have a canteen with a compass on it?"
yeah.
Right.
And like, and he'd already, when they were sitting in the before the prop comic gynecologist scene, he's like, Henry, like Hank, like that's a good name. And then this kid's named Hank, and it's he's idealizing him as a father.
He
It's
was
not him.
really great. Like, the whole, like, the first 2/3 of the movie, I was like, John Ritter's character is the best. He's the nicest guy. He's so cute. He's so sweet, you know, and I guess we can talk about
He remains
sort
that
of
way throughout.
what happens in the third act. But, all right, so they adopt the kid. The grandpa doesn't like it. The wife doesn't like him. The neighbors.
The wife
are-
likes him until he abuses the cat.
Yeah, which, you know, that's
And he sets a fire.
number one sign of serial killers. What it is, kids that like torture animals. That's like
That's true.
the number one indication of who's going to end up.
We've
as a serial killer.
left out. Speaking of serial killers,
Yes.
Oh,
we've left
God.
out a crucial detail
Michael Richards is in this movie. Speaking of serial killers.
Speaking of serial killers,
Inexplicably,
I mean,
shows up.
he's basically acting like Kramer, but this was pre-Kramer.
I mean, he's more like Stanley Spakowski in UHF.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of like a spazzy character.
Yeah, he's a spazzy character. I mean, at this
He's
point,
got his, like,
in 1990,
spazzy
is he
jittery.
doing Seinfeld at this point?
I think
Yeah.
it's before Seinfeld.
If not, I think it's like right then.
I have no
I
idea.
feel like the pilot of Seinfeld was maybe 89.
Look it up. But has no
Look
connection.
it up, Camp C. Look it up. Bah, bah.
Michael Richards is the bow tie killer.
1989, but he probably
Yep.
filmed the movie before he was
Okay.
on Seinfeld. Yeah.
So he has no connection to the actual characters in the plot. The kid just sees him on TV being arrested when he's in the orphanage, and he decides to
There's
Take
a pen,
on the
there's-
bow tie.
there's a pen pal
Well, yeah.
class.
yeah.
All the other kids are writing to
Famous celebrities.
the Queen and Bishop.
Did you ever do
Tutu.
this? Did you guys ever have to write letters to celebrities?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. We had like actual pen pals where we would have like a pen
I
pal.
don't think
in a
I did
different
that
country.
either.
I wrote letters to Jackie Chan.
Oh, good
Did he
choice.
answer? Did they actually
You
mail?
did. I got a headshot. I got a
was
signed
gonna
headshot
say.
of Jackie Chan.
Oh,
Did they actually
Nice.
mail your letters? Because
Yes.
in this movie, they actually mail his letter to the jail for some reason.
They do that.
I don't know why they,
They
would
do that. And yeah, and it's a weird like 1920s Coen Brothers jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where even the warden is scared of Michael Richards because apparently like what the movie's not shying away from is like this dude has killed people.
Yeah.
For fun.
Yeah.
He like
And
it
a
shows
lot.
him saying, "I did it for kicks."
Yeah.
He's
But
the bow
kid-
tie
The
killer.
reason that the kid identifies with the killer and decides to start wearing the bow tie is because he sees him say on TV, like, "I'm not really bad. Like, you guys just don't understand me." And the kid's like, "That's what's going on with me." And so I'm gonna
Yeah.
wear this bow tie for the rest of the movie.
So basically, what where we're at is that the nuns are like, we want this kid out. Oh no, they've already adopted.
Yeah, we already did that. So
They
yeah,
adopted him.
They
Sorry, I was
adopted
looking
him.
at my
But
notes and I got lost.
they give him a bedroom full
Yes.
of terrifying, horrifying clowns everywhere.
This was one of those horrible lines that I have to admit that I laughed really hard at.
Okay, go ahead.
When like they open the door and it's like all these it's like the most insane room of clowns you've ever seen. There's like clowns moving, there's clowns on the wall, there's clowns everywhere, and like the kid in his dumb voice, like the first thing he says he goes, "Oh God, they're retarded." And I was
And
like,
you're like, and I laugh.
I was like, I feel like such a terrible person, but I laughed so hard I had to pause the movie. Just because, like, it's a terrible thing to say, but it just, like, I don't know, his line delivery there was, like, so deadpan.
Yes.
That I was just like, wow, okay, that was, like, the best thing. And then that's when they have Big Ben come meet the kid, and he's immediately like the only person who's like, "This kid's horrible.
Yep.
Get rid of this kid."
But he really says that before he even knows he's horrible.
He's like, he might be a Democrat.
Well,
He
no,
says-
that's not true. He goes upstairs and then the room is on fire.
But no, even before that.
No.
Yes, before
No,
that.
he's against adoption.
Yeah.
Right. And then, he's against adoption, and then when he sees the kid, and then the room's on fire. Then he's like, "Oh, it was an accident," and then he's like, "I call bullshit. You're lying."
But he was already being an asshole before that, and the kid heard it. And that's why he set the room on fire.
I don't know. He hated the clowns.
No. He overheard the grandpa.
I don't think he did at all.
Yes, he did. He overheard the grandpa saying bad shit, and that's why he set the room on fire.
The grandpa was making fat jokes about the wife at the time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because he was like, "Oh, a boy, that's going to be good for my, electoral campaign. I thought you were putting on weight."
Yeah.
No, the kid definitely overheard the conversation, and then he decided to set the room on fire.
And then after the fire, he throws a cat in his face.
Yeah, he just threw a cat in his face, and then a geriatric old man falls down a flight of stairs.
Yes. Everyone's fine.
He gets pulled away in an ambulance.
Yeah. And you see the cat has, like, his own...
The cat has casts on his
Immediately.
legs.
But it's like...
Who put a cast on that cat immediately before the grandpa was even taken to the hospital?
I don't know.
No, that was after. A vet.
No, it was like a cut from, like, him going in the ambulance to the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was pretty funny. Either way.
They have a really good vet.
Let's move on.
So
now we meet... first we meet Lucy.
Oh, yeah, the invite.
Little Lucy, who gets pretty much forced by her mom to invite...
the best actor in this movie.
Yeah. Little Lucy, who has to invite Junior to her birthday party.
But she was already being, like, a horrible person. Like, she was like, "You didn't even have a baby yesterday, and now you have a 7-year-old kid. That's gross." It's like, what? What is gross about that? Like,
he's so big.
You idiot. So, yeah, well, she gets worse. But anyways, she's forced to invite him. And then the camping trip happens?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wait, so, the one thing that we skipped is this camping trip... there's this thread line for John Ritter of wanting to go on this camping trip, and John Ritter is the coach of this little league team, and he's just he's getting 30 run ruled by this other team, but he's like just go out there and win, have a good time, and just you showing to be a good dude, and then the rival coach of this team is just shit talking him the entire time, but I guess they're frenemies.
Right, and they live next to each other.
They live next to each other because he ends up going on this camping trip with the coach of the little league
I didn't
team.
even realize that was the same guy.
Yeah, same guy.
All white people look the same.
And fun fact about the teams, it was the Braves versus the Chieftains, which good times. Welcome to 1990.
Oh man.
So it's this dude who just makes fun of him, but John Ritter's like, "Oh, this is my buddy. We're gonna go on a camping trip."
Yep. So they go on a camping trip, and it basically sets up this hilarious scene. I know I keep saying hilarious, but I thought this movie was really funny. They set up this scene where I don't know if the guy, I think his name is Roy. The other guy that they went camping with.
I was like, is Roy his friend?
So Roy has 6 kids already.
Yes.
And then the wife's pregnant with yet another.
And they share.
Roy, at the base going before, showed him a photo of a fetus.
That's right.
And the kids are sitting around the campfire singing really lame camp songs, and Junior comes and just straight out whips out his dick and pees all over the fire in front of them. And then go ahead and talk about...
I was going to say, it set up this awesome scene where, Roy is in the tent with Lil Ben. Mm-hmm. And he's like, check out this awesome bear costume I have. It's so great. I'm gonna scare everybody. Ha ha ha. And then, a little bit later, you see that while this is happening... Junior is with a fishing pole and some a raw piece
a hot
of steak,
dog,
is luring a bear, a real bear, to the campsite. He's pulling it towards him.
He tracked it. He found it.
Yep.
He got a steak. Put it on a
And it
fishing
actually,
pole.
for a split second, I don't know how they shot that scene, but like it looks like he's walking right in front of a bear with some meat.
It's a trained bear.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But still, with a kid, that
Yeah.
seems scary.
I mean,
Okay.
the insurance was
yeah.
high.
So,
It was
anyways, he throws the meat into the campsite, and the bear comes walking in, and everyone freaks out. Oh my god, a bear! And they all run and hide in the car.
Except for John Ritter.
Except for John Ritter, who thinks it's a fake bear because of the bear costume we saw earlier.
God's perfect idiot, Josh Ritter.
Yeah. And so he is go, oh man, come on, whatever. And the funny thing is here, the bear starts attacking him, and even though it's a real bear, in the movie, it switches back and forth between what is obviously a
man
dude in a bear costume fighting him like that, and it like flashes between a real bear and this guy in the bear costume.
So here's a very important question that I have to ask about this. Is this a meta joke? Because if it is, it's fucking hilarious.
Because there's no...
And if it's bad filmmaking, also hilarious.
I think it. Yeah, I feel like maybe it had to have been because
I think it has to be
because it's so obviously a dude in a bear suit.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
they
the
had
bear
a
on
real
the hind
bear.
legs for a second, and then it cuts back to the guy who's just like, "I'm a bear suit." But that was funny. I don't really care how that scene resolves, but
I mean, it doesn't. It does not resolve.
just the cutting back between the real bear and the fake bear.
It's really funny. It's
Yeah.
just objectively funny.
But like the movie frames this guy Roy as this great dad, but I say that
No, they don't.
scaring. Well, no, like
Because he had a super dad hat.
Yeah, John Ritter's like looking up to him. He wants to,
That dude sucks the entire movie.
No, I know,
He's like-
but
he's a
he's like
dick.
super dad. His kids are all kumbaya.
That is a legitimately funny thing where he's like, now you're a dad, you're part of the dad club, put on this dad hat. Roy gives John Ritter a dad hat, and then Roy's wearing a super dad hat.
Yeah. Still gotta one-up him. You know, like your friendly neighbor.
I was like,
rival.
dad, super dad, uber dad.
That's right.
But like even when he introduces the idea of the bear suit, John Ritter's like, "Oh, that's so funny. That's such a great idea." Like that's a horrible idea. Like who would do that to their children?
Well, I mean, it's not a bad idea if there's not going to be a real bear involved.
No, that's fun.
Oh god.
You
It's
didn't,
just like telling
you
a
didn't
ghost
go to
story.
Boy Scout camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to Girl Scout camp because I'm a girl.
Is there a weird fart joke in this also? Like where like John Ritter's climbing into the tent, and they're just like playing a random fart noise.
Oh, well, it's because their campsite was right next to the
Oh,
to
the porta
potties.
potty. I see.
And
But
the
like,
kid
it's
was
the
like-
time where he's bent over, like crawling into the tent.
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh,
The kid was like, "Great campsite that your friend saved for us, huh, Dad?"
Because
I
they
mean,
took the
he doesn't
better
say
spot,
Dad.
but yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he's
there's
like,
this
nothing
whole
like the
thing.
smell of fresh air, and the kid goes, "And porta potties," or whatever he says. That's basically what he sounds.
There's this whole thing.
I think
where,
what this episode needs is more you doing the voice.
I'll do
I'm
it.
not even fucking kidding.
I'll do it if I have more lines.
John Ritter wants Junior to call him Dad. That's like
Right,
another
right.
kind of through
That's the thing,
line,
yeah.
So the
Actually, one thing that we skipped over, I think, before this is that I have two things that I want to discuss that are not about the plot at all. His wife, I can't tell where this kind of like money grubbing archetype redheaded wife comes from. Like it seems like it's straight out of Beetlejuice, and it's just like that's the mold. But like it's kind of like a Married with Children thing.
Yeah,
and, like,
she
it's
does
kind of,
look like Married with Children.
and so like it's kind of like I don't know. And like in 90s is kind of the 1990s is kind of the tail end of that, and so
Right.
it's kind of my instinct is that it's Beetlejuice.
It's got to be before that, right? Because why would it be funny in Beetlejuice if we didn't already? Like...
I don't know. I don't remember
Because
I didn't
it's
watch
played
it.
by like one of the funniest actresses.
That's true.
But yeah, she is like this archetype of redheaded, money grabbing, like
Right.
leopard print all the time.
Yep. It's like
cigarette pants with the belt around.
As soon as
you know.
you see her, you're like, I know exactly who this is.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have a shot of being a decent person in this movie.
No.
Yeah.
But there's something that I think is actually really funny and it kind of plays off differently later, but there's a point where it's a joke against John Ritter of where like Junior's like walking around in the house and like he's closing up drawers.
Oh yeah,
and she has basically like sexy fireman like photos and things.
In every drawer.
In every drawer,
Yeah.
which is really funny and also like good for her. But,
Well, I mean, you also like get the sense that the marriage is not good right from the beginning. Because in the doctor's
it's fine.
in the doctor's office, he's like, "You had 0% chance of getting pregnant." She's like, "So we've been having sex every day for no reason?"
Yeah,
and John Ritter's like, "Wah."
Yeah,
the first 2 acts of this movie are like a shrink ray pointing at John Ritter's dick. Like, that's what it
I mean,
is.
a lot of the movie.
Like that's most of the movie. That's what's happening. But I don't know. I thought that there was like for as mean spirited movie can feel. There's something about that moment that's not. I don't know. Yeah, she can have sexy dude like magazines. Yeah,
Sure.
why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, later she commits adultery. That's not.
That's-
good.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
I was like,
Spoiler alert.
this woman's crazy. But let's get to my favorite sequence of the film.
and probably the most iconic. Although I was reading in those articles that it was added in after.
Oh, really?
the
Oh,
first
I
cut.
couldn't tell
Yeah.
by the way that she was cut in there.
No, the entire party was added in. Like, I
Oh,
guess.
wow.
Supposedly, I don't know. That's what. that
Okay,
article
so a
said.
couple of things about this part. So they get to this party. That's what the wife wants. We learn 2 things, right? A. Also, I actually want to have a conversation about the music licensing.
yeah.
Because like there's some great songs in this movie.
Yeah.
Not great.
It's
There's
just all like major.
There are some
songs.
expensive songs in this movie.
Yeah.
It's all the really most obvious songs.
But right, yeah, it's like there wasn't a music supervisor. It was just like, what do you think? That's the one.
Yeah.
That Junior, have we established that the kid's name is Junior?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Okay, has an incredible throwing arm.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that plays into that this was cut in afterwards. Because there's a lot of inserts and there's a lot of like montage footage that this scene is completely assembled like a music video.
Yeah. Totally. Which I thought it worked really well though, because it's kind of like he goes to this party and he's just kind of like standing around. Everyone like Lucy, who is the birthday girl, is kind of being mean to him.
No, she's being super mean.
Yeah.
She told all the other girls not to talk to him and said, "He's not a real kid. He's adopted."
That's right.
What the F?
And she's like, "You can't go outside and watch the magic show with us."
I would have slapped that little girl so hard. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Ugh.
So then we get like this awesome montage to the song "It's My Party" by Leslie Gore, sorry, Guerrero, where we just get to see Junior just wrecking havoc on the entire party. Like he's putting firecrackers in the cake. He's, like you said, throwing her presents in a pool.
Well, no, that's the reveal. Like that's the thing. You see her,
that's
you see him
true,
just like throwing presents. Like there's lots of shots in this movie of Junior throwing something, cut to it spinning in the air, pay off where it lands.
Right.
It happens.
I think
maybe 5 times.
I think the most devastating thing he does is put a sprinkler on in her room.
In her room.
Her
Which I was like,
room.
oh my god!
That's another
fucked
thing that
up.
is like burned into my memory. It's
So
horrifying.
That ruins everything.
all of this is happening where the legitimately funniest thing in the movie happens.
Yep.
Where Ritter comes in and he sees that the Junior's been left out, seeing this girl's been really mean to him. And Junior's planning to play this whole thing up. It's a really honest and true moment where he's like, magicians are dumb, I don't want to go out there. Like he's just trying to say, and you can tell he's hurt by it. And John Ritter does this great thing where he's like, if I give you something, will you promise to keep it safe? And it's this sweet moment. And he takes this, it looks like a pebble of some kind, hands it to Junior and says, like, this is something my grandfather gave me, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, what is it? It's a prune.
A dried out prune.
A hardened prune.
It's a hardened prune. And he's like, yeah, my grandfather gave it to me. He was saying about at that point. I think he thought it looked like Roosevelt. That is the funniest thing. And that is objectively, legitimately fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It seems sort of weird though because they had that touching moment and then he goes on the rampage, which was kind of like
Right.
like there was no Like, there should have been another
it should,
thing that triggered him
it-
to go into the rampage.
I think that there's somebody said, like, that happens, and then somebody says something awful to him.
I don't
think so.
I don't really remember. I think he just is kind of like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna go do something.
Yeah.
I don't.
So,
I don't really
anyways,
remember.
but the rampage happens.
But yeah, that prune thing is like it's kind of like that's the heart of the movie, where it's like it's a sweet thing, and there's this absurd joke, and like that I think is if there's more of that in the second movie and the third movie, I'll be all for it. I have zero hope of that.
I doubt it will be.
Hope.
Yeah. All right, so let's kind of move things along here. We get to check back in on the bow tie killer who escapes prison.
Yes, he escapes prison by killing his psychiatrist.
I think Jason did that in one of the movies, didn't he? In Friday the 13th.
That's for a different podcast.
Yeah, I know. But I feel like that was in one of them, for sure.
I'm sure he probably did.
Yeah.
But he escapes, and he's on his way to Cold River, which is where they live. Apparently.
He thinks that Junior through his pen pal ship that they're both cold-blooded killers, and they're about to go on a spree.
Well, because the joke is that he doesn't know how to read, and he was
Right.
having the other prisoners just read him snippets of the letters, and so he didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, oh man.
So then we get a scene where we're back at the
after
Son
the-
of dork, son of dork, son of dork. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it's
That is
after
the
that.
that is
they-
the next scene.
Yeah, it is.
We're at the Little League field, and one of the kids like goes down or something, and Junior has to get up to bat
Right.
as a pitch hitter.
But they have not told him how to play baseball or
Yeah.
how baseball works. But John Ritter's like, you could do it, son. Like, it is a horrible idea.
So he fails like multiple times, and the catcher is like saying, "Oh, your dad's a freaking dork loser." Like,
Yeah,
"Oh, he's
they're all
such a
talking
loser."
shit like baseball kids do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then John Ritter comes up and says, "Just hold on to the bat," and he goes, "Yeah, that's right. Just hold on to the bat." Something like that. That was worse than the last.
Yep.
He's like,
You turned into a 1920s crime boss,
he
but
was like, "Just hold on to the bat."
in a way, it's better.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously choked up on the bat.
Yes.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah. Well,
So
they never taught him how to bat.
and basically what happens
There's
is,
not enough time in this 80-minute movie.
in this, basically what happens is he goes and assaults
Everyone.
10
Yes,
children.
he beats the shit out of them. Luckily, since it's PG, it cuts away
It
to
does.
just like their gloves and hats flying in the air, like, oh,
Yeah,
and
you
this,
hear
like,
beating noises, and you see the crowd
Yeah,
going
he
like, oh,
he
no!
rounds the bases bat in hand and kicks the shit out of it.
Out of every
Yeah.
baseman, yeah.
which was amazing.
I mean, but if you didn't know how to play baseball, you might think that's what you were supposed
So,
to do.
he
But
did
he
also-
was sitting there the whole game. So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not... No. No. I didn't know how to play baseball, and I just had to go hit it off a fucking tee.
Yeah. He makes it all the way around, and like, since the catcher was being
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest bitch to him, he like slides up and like hits him in the balls with the bat
With the bat.
really hard, and then he goes touchdown, touchdown,
Which is legitimately funny.
yeah,
The
because he doesn't know how to play
The
baseball. It's just-
entire audience is silent. He's just going,
No,
touchdown.
there's adults hanging to the fence, scared
Yeah.
of him.
And this
Everyone
is-
got scared and ran
Yeah,
away.
and this is the moment where John Ritter finally starts to crack, and he's like,
We're taking him back.
"We've adopted Satan." He says, like with these like dead eyes.
That is the thing he says.
Well, so first they go to
And the very next scene,
confessional.
they're in the church. Yeah,
Yeah, they go to confessional. John Ritter jumps in the booth. The kid is in the other side. Little does he know.
Oh, right before that though, there's another amazing line when they're in the church, and he runs into that kid from the
Oh yeah.
from the sporting goods store.
Yeah, Hank. It's Hank.
And he's like, "Oh, hey, you're the guy from the sporting goods store. Hey, we had such a fun time camping." And he cuts him off. He's like, "Blow it out your ass."
Now, it takes a lot of work to make John Ritter an asshole.
Yeah.
And this movie
Because
does
he's
it.
so likable.
Yeah.
It was so weird, yeah. And so in the booth, he's just like yelling at the priest, saying, "I don't know what to do. You know, I just wanted to have a son and be a good father, and like I just don't know what to do." And Junior's crazy and blah blah blah. And Junior's listening to all this, and John Ritter finally concludes, "I got to take him back to the adoption agency." And so he runs out, and Junior's like, "Wait, no, don't do that." And then they go to Gilbert Gottfried's office.
And they try to return him, but then John Ritter like is such a good guy that he once he realizes what's happened to this kid, he's been returned, 32
times or something like that, yeah. Which they didn't
John Ritter's like, we need to just love this kid. Like, let's be the...
He's like, yeah, let's do the hard thing, and there's a lot of problems in the world. Like, it is
like,
I thought it was a good scene. I thought that was a really good scene.
It's an incredible scene. And it kind of shows... It makes sense that these dudes went on to have a career, and that the humor in this movie is actually... not mean, although the movie feels mean-spirited, it's not mean-spirited. It's saying that the world is a mean place.
Yeah. And, I thought that was John Ritter's best scene for sure. But then, then it just all comes crashing down, in the next scene.
Yeah.
Basically, they decide to keep him, they run out there, but Junior's pissed off, but they left him in the car with the keys. So he starts driving away. John Ritter's on the hood of the car. It becomes a thing. He crashes into the sporting goods store and destroys it.
Yep.
And then John Ritter finds out that he lost all his money because his dad took his life savings to pay for the damage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because stores don't have insurance.
No.
And this is when he starts to John Ritter starts to go in this catatonic.
Yeah, he completely goes crazy. He cracks.
There's a point where he attempts... it's actually a pretty harrowing shot where, Junior's sleeping, and then you see, just legs standing on the bed. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And the reveal is John Ritter's holding a Home Sweet Home pillow.
Yes.
And he's about to
and
smother
he looks like
this
he's,
child.
Freaking out, I'm going to do it.
Which, that, to me, was so out of character. Even in that catatonic state, I was like... it kind of lost me at that point. Because I was like, I don't know that that's funny at all in any...
I thought
sense.
It is funny.
I mean, after all he's been through, I think he would...
Murdering your child?
You're in a movie where he is a pen pal with a serial killer, and he's driven into a plate glass column of tennis balls, and he's like, I'm fine.
Also,
although
it's
so obviously a dummy when it comes through. That stunt is hilarious.
I just think that the murder thing was over the top. Maybe he should have put him in a cage or something else. Murder.
Also, it's just a crazy comedy movie. Of course, they're gonna joke about killing children. Why not?
Oh, God.
So, anyways,
put him in a cage.
Murder. They're trying to
take it easy, Thierry.
They're trying to show that he's lost it.
He never makes any move to actually go and then stop or anything. He's just holding it there you might kill this kid. It seems like a normal...
I mean, that's the type of... I mean, it carries over to Happy Gilmore, carries over to... I mean, that's the template for those types of movies.
I guess. Child murder.
All right, so shortly after that, the bow tie killer shows up at their door because he's been driving this whole time to meet Junior. Mm-hmm. And Junior's super excited to see him, and he's like, hey, it's Uncle Marty! And Florence immediately is like, this is some family of his. We can kind of pawn him off on this family member. And this is where they...
oh, God.
They have dinner, and they're trying to talk to John.
Florence is like, I'm gonna have, we have to be really nice to this dude, because, he can solve all of her problems.
But John Ritter is still catatonic.
They try to talk to... They're like, what do you think about that, honey? And he's like, blur. Basically, something like that. And Uncle Marty, the bow tie killer, the whole time is checking out Florence, and she goes off into the other room to get something, and he follows her in there and makes a move on her. And I was like, and I was like, what the heck?
And she's into it.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, how long has it been since you've been with a woman? And then kisses him back, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So they have sex on the kitchen floor.
They have sex.
Heavily implied.
They have sex, and then he immediately kidnaps
her and the kid, and leaves catatonic John Ritter.
Yep.
Demanding ransom.
Yep. And John Ritter is excited about it. He's totes excited. Anyways, what happens here?
Blah, blah, blah.
There's a road trip. Florence gets
put in a suitcase.
Puts in a suitcase.
Oh, John Ritter does ruin his dad's campaign by turning on the TV camera.
You get to see an old man in American flag boxers moon people.
Yeah. I liked it's another horrible thing, but putting the wife in the suitcase was hilarious because it's just there's no way that she would ever fit in that suitcase.
There's obviously nobody in this suitcase.
And he's just carrying around, and you can just hear the voice over her of her being like, "What are you gonna be?" like he slams her into the like trunk, and it's like
it becomes. I mean, it's a Looney Tunes.
it's a cartoon at that
cartoon.
point. So, anyways, John Ritter has a change of heart and like decides he's gonna go try to get everyone back, and he follows him to a circus. There's lots of clown stuff in this movie for some reason.
Yep.
Follows him to a circus, and they do this whole exchange with the money. Even though I don't even know if there was ever money in there.
I don't think there was money. Well, no, basically, like John, like a weird like thematic thing with this movie is that John Ritter decides, you know what, I do need to be kind of a dick,
Right.
Like, and so he steals Roy's car.
And he steals the Super Dad hat.
He steals the Super Dad hat because he's like, I learned something from this kid. I've learned I can't let the world trample over me. Like, I need to take control and be kind of a cock about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the Junior gets away from the bow tie killer. There's a crazy chase through the circus, and John Ritter gets him back, and he calls him Dad for the first time. And everything's cool and fine, and like the cops are arresting the bow tie killer, but right as they're arresting him, I thought this was crazy because I was not expecting this. It's like slow motion, like the bow tie killer grabs one of the cops' guns and like goes, "You're never gonna get away." I don't know what he says.
He fucking shoots John Ritter.
He shot
John Ritter, yeah,
in the heart,
and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
and it's super crazy, like slow motion. And then
it's horrible. The little kid's over the body saying, "Dad!" It's like a symbol,
Daddy,
like,
please,
it's
wake
awesome.
up. Yeah.
"Dad," like, "Wake up! Don't leave me."
But
guess what?
What happens?
The
Tyler?
heart of the movie stops the bullet.
And what's that?
He pulls out one of his dad's campaign badges with a bullet hole in it. But then he pulls out a prune
with a bullet in it
that was so hard it stopped the bullet. Hashtag prune so hard.
Yes. And then, so then there's kind of a happy ending. There's one little thing just to add on to the ending here that we forgot. During the whole crazy chase that I kind of skipped over, there's like actually a kind of cool car chase scene.
There is.
Where somehow the mom in the suitcase gets launched out of the car, and they hit the brakes at one point, and she goes flying while she's still in the suitcase, flying off the car, off of a bridge, and lands in another car that's got a pig in it or something.
Pig nuts.
Yeah.
Well, were those nuts? I
thought they were nuts, yeah.
They were pig nuts.
And she goes driving off in this truck, and that's pretty much the end of.
There's like part of that chase scene has Junior driving the car basically, while John Ritter's out the sunroof
Shooting
with a shotgun at Michael Richardson. Here's what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like that's why it's like like maybe the pillow murder scene isn't taken at face value.
Still.
There's a woman in a suitcase that he shot. Like John Ritter shoots the trunk. I think she would be dead.
Yeah, she would have died like a million times. But the movie ends on her like opening up the suitcase in this truck and like seeing what I'm pretty sure were like pig nuts, but in the scene,
pig nuts and butt.
Yeah,
in her face.
Well, it's like these huge nuts, but in the scene it like makes a farting noise.
Yep.
So I think like if you're a kid, you'd just be like, "Oh, it's a huge butt."
Yeah.
But like it was.
But I did like that.
Okay, you guys.
That the kid's narration was like, it was basically, I'm paraphrasing, like, we all lived happily ever after, and nobody ever cared about what happened to Flo.
Yeah.
And then you see that she's in the truck.
I thought that was pretty insane.
So.
But that was the end, and to hit into the end credits with that amazing #1 hit single that everyone remembers, "Problem Child" by the Beach Boys. Which, this song was horrible.
It was really bad. It's real bad.
I looked up, I was like, I gotta see, like,
spoken
about
word
this song. And it's written and produced by Terry Melcher, who is the guy who, he's produced a lot of big songs, but for the Beach Boys, he produced Kokomo, which was like a huge hit for them. And you could hear that in this song. Like,
Kokomo
was 1988, but like this
I want to see the Muppets version of Problem Child.
Yeah.
Do you have the lyrics? Can you give us?
Well, I didn't like. Actually, I did put. I did put some.
Give us
lyrics
a
down.
little lyrics.
Okay, so basically the whole crux of the song is like this na 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 na.
Yeah.
So there's like that sample of kids doing that, and then like the whole chorus is just them going like na 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 na. And there's like these lyrics. I don't remember how the song goes, but here's some lyrics. One lyric that I wrote down, it says, "You're just a kid now, but soon you'll be a king of hearts." And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean, you guys?
Did that actor grow up to be a developer on Kingdom Hearts?
No, this is all...
I also thought they said Kingdom Hearts, and I
No.
was like, wait, is that a real phrase?
I think that's what he said.
No, it is King of Hearts.
Fun fact, I looked up Terry Melcher. This is like a total
Yeah.
aside. But I was like, who is this dude? What else has he done? And it turns out he lived in the Manson house right before Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. And like, I guess when those murders happened, at the time it was reported that, because Manson actually auditioned for Terry Melcher and he turned him down. And so I guess at the time it was reported that like the Manson family members were there, like had been sent there to kill this dude.
All right, so
that's crazy, right?
No, that's insane. But I also feel like that house might be haunted, right? Because
Yeah,
obviously.
because A, like Sharon Tate, B, Roman Polanski,
Yeah.
C, Charles Manson, all horrible things. For him, it's this song.
We'll put this link up on our website too on Facebook, but you gotta watch the music video. It's terrible. Found it
This
on
is
YouTube.
totally the same as those other
Yeah,
two
on the
things.
Same
Yeah.
level. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you guys are on the same page.
Yeah,
with me.
no, yeah.
Yeah. So hey,
Just
that's
as horrible.
the end of the first film. This movie came out in 1990, and
Bears no reason for a sequel.
well, yeah, and based on all the reviews, this was one of those films that like didn't screen for critics before it came
Yeah.
out.
I see.
And when it did come out, every critic hated it.
Apparently, even in test screenings, 70% of the people
Yeah.
walked out of the theater.
But it made a lot of money when it came out.
It was a surprise hit.
Kids loved it.
Yeah, it made like 53 million or something, which at the time was a lot of money. So that's why we have more movies.
More movies. Yeah, I'm dubious of what's going to
So,
happen
do
next.
you want to talk about what the movie was based on and all that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I didn't really get a chance to like dig into all this, but apparently the writers were on a podcast of Gilbert Gottfried's a couple of years ago, and they said that the whole thing was based on this LA Times article.
Yeah.
Did you read the article?
I didn't read the whole thing, but I skimmed it, and it was about a family adopting like a really disturbed child, and it wasn't funny or cute. It was like a murdered
Right.
child.
I mean,
basically,
I
yeah.
honestly thought that the it was like, what if the Omen was funny?
Well,
Well,
and
they
then
said
there-
it was supposed to be a comic bad seed, is what they
Right.
They
is what
wanted
said.
it to be a dark comedy, and then they had almost done it as a horror movie too,
Yeah.
and then ended up with this family
Sure.
comedy
Yeah.
somehow. But yeah,
I mean,
there was
it's pretty
some.
dark, like you said, with the murder.
Some people were worried that it was anti-adoption; it would scare people off from adopting, and I really don't think that. It's so ridiculous and over the top that it
But-
doesn't even.
I mean, at the same time, it's such a popular movie, and it's the type of thing that like teenagers or whatever kids could watch and be like, oh yeah, adopted kids are gross and stupid. Like,
I don't think so because everyone
It's the
loves
type of-
the kid. In
It's
the movie.
the
the
type of movie that does reinforce those stereotypes
Yeah,
while trying to fight them.
yeah, exactly. Because like, even though in the end of the movie the kid is like normal, kind of throughout the whole film, like I feel like a lot of people that would watch it would like when they're kids and there's bullies and all that stuff, they might agree with Lucy's point of view and be like, this
I
kid,
feel like
this
I
kid
feel
is
like
weird and he's a fucking loser.
the main embodiment of that is like one of the main nuns has this really gnarly mole on her forehead, right?
Yeah.
And it's this type of thing where like, yes, that's funny. Like I'm sure you had a mole like that and you do that, but like it's also something that like it's there for comedy, it's there and it's accentuated, and it's gonna make people feel self-conscious about those things because it's ugly. And
Right.
it's one of those things where that line has been more refined in comedy later on, and we'll say, I'm sure it's something that's variable that we might regress or go forward, but it seems something that seems really distasteful now. And I think that there's a lot of that in terms of how this movie operates. But at the end of the day, it's meant to be this over the top Looney Tunes type story.
Yeah, and I think it's just really unrealistic because even at that time, there was not like nun-led orphanages just like selling kids, and like you were even at that time you would foster a child before officially adopting them. So this whole premise is pretty ridiculous, and I think most people would know that.
It has like a Matilda, type storybook.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed this movie. I had zero expectations because I didn't know really anything about it, and just the kind of like madcap energy and ridiculousness and like the crazy over the top scenes. Just like I enjoyed it because I was expecting it to be horrible, honestly, and I was like, some of the stuff is really funny, and I think a lot of it has to do with John Ritter. Like he's one of my favorites.
I enjoyed it less than I think I enjoyed it when I was a kid, but it was also like a weird thing where like I didn't realize kind of the careers that came out afterwards of these people. And so like It Lean and Happy Gilmore and that Center things makes so much fucking sense. And like I want to talk about that more in the next episode, and as this goes along. I don't know if Duggan is
I'm not sure.
I don't know if he directs the next one, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
It was definitely, I definitely laughed. There was things where I was just like, that's actually hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. It had good moments. I think, the movie really is all on John Ritter. And the kid a little bit, but both of them had moments that were so weirdly directed that it just seemed out of character. But overall, it's impossible to not just love John Ritter.
Yeah.
Like, even when the weird scenes when he was catatonic, it was kind of like, I almost put that on the movie and the director and the script and not him. I was like, oh, well, they made him do that. Like, that's a really lovable John Ritter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, the next film in the series is called Problem Childs.
Is it really?
No.
No.
It's called Problem Child 2. Sorry, there's no funny title.
T-O-O?
No, just the number 2. And quick roundtable. Tyler, what do you think is going to happen in the next movie?
I've seen this movie as well, but I don't necessarily remember it.
You've seen the sequel?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it too.
What?
I don't remember
Oh
anything.
yeah, you've seen all the Pepto-Bismol movies.
I feel like
No, I don't. That may not even be in the movie.
I feel like I might remember the second movie more than the first.
Dang.
Hey, go ahead and say what you think, and then we'll go.
Well, based on nothing, I think it would be hilarious if they followed up on what happens with Flo, but I'm guessing that she's just not in
I
it.
don't know if that happens. I have one word for you, and that word is Trixie.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. I do remember that there's another.
There's
kid.
a second
There's a girl.
child.
There's a girl,
okay,
and
all
I
right.
can't remember anything other than that. I want to say that it was sort of like a Parent Trap situation where the girl
Interesting.
and the girl and a mom get together with the boy and a dad. But I don't. That's
Yeah, I
kind
hope.
of made up.
I hope that John Ritter's back. I would think that he isn't, but I don't know.
No, he's got to be. There's no.
I guess it was a huge success.
I don't have a recollection.
I guess it was a huge success, so he probably is back. That's what I hope because he's great. So
we should also say that John Ritter and that horrible lady fell in love in real life.
That's
during
right.
this movie and got married.
That's right.
So she must not have been as horrible.
I mean,
as her
she was
character.
sure she wasn't
She was good in the
horrible.
movie.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, the character was so awful, like, Anyways.
It's called acting.
No, I know.
that's what she's like in real life.
I know, but...
What a bitch! Bitch!
It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for listening. If you like the podcast, please rate us on iTunes.
Write a little something.
Write a blurb if you want. It would be great, but the ratings really help us get noticed on iTunes, and we need more of them. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at SequelRights.
At Sequel Rights.
Stupid. Twitter at Sequel Rights. Follow us at Facebook.com/Sequel.
Sequel Rights.
I can't talk, you guys.
It's Sequel Rights on Facebook.
You're in a
And
catatonic state. Don't worry.
Also,
don't
you
murder a
should
child.
email us your thoughts if in agreement or disagreement, or if you have any good problem child stories, you can email us at sequelrights@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear them. I'd like to thank my brother, Jordan Camps, for the theme music to the podcast. And,
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, other than that, we'll see you guys next week for Problem Child 2. Dun, dun, dun.